Well, hey everybody, Steven here, and welcome back to the channel. In this video, I'm going to be showing you how to make a train whistle out of a piece of wood. And I'm going to be showing you how to add this graphic from your inkjet printer. So join with me and let's get started. Okay guys, the first thing you want is you want to start out with a piece of wood that is about 1.5 inches by 1.5 inches wide and about 8.5 to 9 inches long. And the first thing I'm going to do is chop off the end cap, which is about 5/8 or 7/8 inch wide. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is mark diagonal lines on the end of this block of wood. And then I'll come back and measure evenly along those diagonal lines. I'll space out and mark 2 holes so that what I'll end up with is 4 holes that are centered all the way around the block of wood. And then what I'll do is I'll use my spring-loaded punch to punch 4 holes on those marks to get ready for drilling. Alright, now in this scene I'm using my drill press to drill 3/8 inch holes. I'm using a centering vise, and what I do is I clamp that centering vise down, and that way all I've got to do is turn the block of wood in that vise, and it always lines up so that all 4 holes are evenly spaced. Now the depth of the holes are in this order. First one is 2 3/4 inch, the next one is 3 1/4 inches, the next one is 3 7/8, and the last one is 4.5 inches. Don't get too upset or too frustrated getting these depths exact. As long as you get fairly close to these depths, you should be okay. Okay, measuring from the end where the holes are, I'm going to measure down about, make a mark about 5/8 of an inch down to start with, and then from there I'm going to mark down again about 3/4 of an inch, and then I'm going to trace out the lines where I need to make the undercuts for the train whistle holes. Okay, and here's the final layout with the pencil marks, and should look identical on all 4 sides of the whistle. Okay, in this scene I'm making the 4 undercuts for the whistle, and to do that I'm going to need a jig that will allow me to do a 45-degree angle cut. So what I did is I took a piece of 2x4 and cut that at 45-degree angle. So I'm using that as my guide with a bandsaw, and I'm just going to free hand these cuts. So I'll make 4 different cuts and be cutting out 4 different undercut sections of the train whistle. Okay, and as you can see here, I'm cutting the diagonal lines freehand. What you want to do is keep the blade kind of to the inside of that pencil mark, and you'll notice as I cut these sections out that I reveal the holes that I drilled earlier. Okay, after I cut these sections out with a bandsaw, it's not quite as perfect as you want it sometimes, so I took my carving knife and cleaned up some of the cuts. Okay, next I'm going to start working on the reeds for the train whistle, and for that I used a 3/8 of an inch wooden dowel, and it's easier to do this with the dowel full length, so I take that over to my disc sander, and I'm only going to lightly sand off about anywhere between 1/8 of an inch and 2/8 of an inch. Okay, now I'm taking that 3/8 of an inch dowel that I just sanded over to the miter saw, and I'm just going to cut off about 4 pieces about 2 inches long. Okay, now I'm taking those four reeds that I just cut, and I'm going to dry fit them into the whistle. What you want to do is you want to push these in until the bottom is flush with the bottom section of the whistle there, and you want to point the flat sides to the corners. So what you want to end up with, as I'm showing you here, is how the four different reeds should be oriented and configured. Now the next thing you'll want to do is just keep toying with it and testing it. Don't apply any glue at this point. You may have to do some further sanding and just do a little bit of testing as you go. Okay, once you are satisfied with you've got the reeds in the holes positioned correctly, you're getting the right tones, then you take a little bit of wood glue and glue those in place. Okay, once the reeds are all dry, I'm going to take the whistle back to the miter saw and then just simply cut off the excess reeds and flush with the top of the whistle. Okay, in this scene, you're seeing me going back to that, remember the little cat we cut off at the very beginning. And I'll put this back in my centering vise, and using a 1 and about a 3/8 inch Forstner bit, I'm going to drill down a cavity into that about 3/8 of an inch deep. Next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the centering vise in place, flip that cap over on the other side, and come back and drill a 3/8 of an inch hole. This is going to be the hole that we're going to blow through to make the whistle work. Next thing I'm going to do is take that cap we were just working on. I'm going to apply a little bit of Titebond glue around the edges, and then I'm going to line it back up with the whistle, put it in place, and then clamp that down with my quick grip clamp. Let that set up for a few hours before we move to the next step. Okay, now that the glue has dried, I'm going to go back over the whole whistle with my oscillating sander, and I'm using 220 grit here, just getting all the flat surfaces cleaned up, getting rid of any pencil marks, going over the corners and rounding the corners off, and just getting it all shaped up. Okay, the best way I found to do the inkjet image transfer was to use basic labeling paper and just strip all the labels off, and then I'm going to print my graphic on this slick side from the inkjet, and then I'm going to just simply put it on top of the wood and transfer the ink image. Okay, I have printed the graphic to the slick side of that paper, as you can see here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to just trim it down to size a little bit to make it easier to fit on top of the wood. Now, you want to be really careful when you place this on the wood. You want to kind of anchor one end down and then make sure that when you lay it on there that you don't shift that piece of paper around, or otherwise you'll get a blurry image. If you mess up, just keep trying. If you don't succeed the first time, really all you got to do is sand that image off and just start over and keep trying until you get it like you want it. Okay, and finally you can see me here using a little bit of spray lacquer, and you really don't have to do this, but I wanted to do this to sort of protect that graphic that I put on there earlier. Well, hey guys, hey, thanks for joining me again, and please take a minute and like this video and subscribe, and we will see you down the railroad tracks.